Welcome to the big festival here on Hardwire, starting off with Group A. Here in the bottom left hand corner, the red Serral player, the man, the legend, it is Serral. His opponent in the top right hand corner from Storm Gaming. He's back from the military and he's back to stay. Make some noise for GUMIHO. It's insane to have him back already. And already proving himself to be able to reach his former level quite easily. Still not there. Still needs a little bit more practice to reach that peak. But indeed, he's just behind the corner here. Serral starting it off with a 16 pool. Knowing his opponent can go fairly aggressive, especially on a map such as Hardwire. Oh, my posh British accent is just coming out at you with his map name, but yeah, whatever. The only Italian in the planet with a posh accent. And yeah, I'm sorry. So what to expect out of GUMIHO? Like, we all know him as the master of mech play. It's not something he's shown us like at the level he wants its mech play to be. So we've seen him play Bio quite a lot in these few early weeks. And he's kind of making it work. It's clear as the sun that that is not his style. But you know, he can be a versatile player, he can be scary. And of course, once you can come back, you need to kind of adapt to the meta before trying to shift it more towards your playstyle. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a more standard play out of GUMIHO. We see even a Marine first, before the Reactor, not a Reaper, not gonna try his luck with scouting, and we see Serral on his way with his first 6 lanes, 4 plus the 2, which are about to spawn. Going around the Reaper that is not there. And maybe trying to go for some scouting information of his own. The Overload will give him enough vision about what is going on, as you can see. Seeing the Orbital Command. About to get into the main with his Overload to check for more stuff. It's a 1-1-1 opener on the side of GUMIHO, and Serral, knowing that his opponent can go for some very diverse play, is gonna go ahead and start researching Overload speed. The lanes come in with speed, trying to snipe a couple SCVs. It's 3 SCVs that are going to get sniped. That's honestly quite significant. With just 1 Marine to defend over here, GUMIHO should be fine. 2 aliens pop out immediately. A little bit on the late side, but of course the 16 pool, it's kind of hard to deflect. You need to be prepared for it. GUMIHO wasn't really. And losing 3 SCVs in the early game can hurt. It hurts Terran a little bit less, because, you know, mules. But it still hurts. Serral sending his Overload in, getting a full scout. And he basically knows instantly that there is something like this. Did you see it actually? Oh my god, GUMIHO just waited for the right moment. There's another Overload ready to get in. And get a little bit of vision. Serral's Overload behind the main will not get in there with 3 Marines ready to shoot at it. And the medevac goes out. Of course, you see an armory in the making. But the second Overload from Serral is gonna get him the vision he needs, and it's also going to survive this upgrade, giving Serral insane value so far, with a very important piece of scouting information, alongside keeping both his scouting Overloads alive. He's gonna immediately react, tons of Queens in the making. Lair tech, of course, is going to be delayed. Oh, or actually not. Aliens in the main, they're gonna find themselves in quite a pickle. They're gonna head away after killing a couple lanes, but the Queens, of course, too much of a hustle to get through. But the first battlecruiser is in the making, and Serral is ready to double check for the exact timing, since probably the Marines are not gonna be able to shoot at his Overload fast enough. GUMIHO trying to dance around the defenses of Serral. There's already Lings waiting for the Hellions. One of the Hellions immediately falls. Medivac is under assault, and GUMIHO decides against pushing forward with 4 more Hellions on the right side and 4 Marines incoming. Battlecruiser halfway through. Serral still not checking for the exact timing. I think he's more than enough prepared, but it's still a hard defense against battlecruisers. Losing 1 overload does hurt a little bit in this spot. He's gonna be forced to use some of his larvae to produce even more overloads. The Hellbats are in position, getting that something quite a choke point, which can be good and can be bad at the same time. The Banelings get a wonderful connection though. Another Queens can just clean house on the right side. The Hellions on the left side join the fray, but the Medivac goes down. And once again, the Hellbat push didn't do quite enough. Serral sending a couple Lings in and getting 5 SCVs killed. Maybe it was Banelings as well. But yeah, the battlecruiser is out and he's gonna jump in the main. 3 Queens to protect these main, but of course GUMIHO doesn't really have a strong economy. He's getting his 3rd command center only now, while Serral is ready to harass on the other side of the map. Battlecruiser will head out after getting 7 kills. The Hellions didn't do quite enough, and it's time for another Hellion run by. They always get in the hands of Serral. They will try to get on top of the Hellions. GUMIHO was a little bit cleaner in his defense this time, losing only the 2 Hellions. Of course, Serral immediately reacting to the 2nd cruiser with his own Spire to gain back some map control, avoid losing overloads, and try to be able to see where the Hellions are coming from, since this is more likely going to be mech after this, and it is indeed, with 2 factories in production. So GUMIHO going back to basics, and it's indeed a sight for sore eyes. With a lot of Queens for defense, I doubt he's going to get enough damage in his early game. But as we all know, mech is kind of a critical mass kind of build order, in which you want to get to +2/+2, get a ton of units down, and get map control with battle mech before heading into Tors, tanks, and just being overall unkillable, with a huge amount of armor Tors have, and the huge splash damage of the tanks. Of course, this Spire play is gonna try to slow this down. GUMIHO needs to buy time for himself, while Serral wants to go in and get as much damage as possible on GUMIHO's army before it reaches critical mass. You can also go for some harassment, but I doubt GUMIHO will not have the defenses you need. I also like not going into Corruptors, way too vulnerable to Yamato cannons, and of course, way too committed into just defeating the battlecruisers, which is not the whole point of GUMIHO's build. Oh, but the Mutas are already trying to chip down at the army of GUMIHO, getting a lot of kills actually. These aliens cannot really run too far away with the Mutas chasing them down. Battlecruisers on the left. Queens are gonna get into position. Yamato cannon not done already. One of the cruisers is very bruised, and they're both gonna jump away to catch the Mutas and the Lings, trying to go for more damage on the side of Serral. There's a player trying to go for the multi-prong. Mutas on the left with an Overseer as well. Oh, these aliens are in a very bad spot. They're all gonna fall. It's time for the Cyclones to actually do something. The repairs on the battlecruisers coming in clutch, and deflecting this, but the Lings getting 6-7 kills. The Mutas bringing the work forward, and it's about to be a refinery down for GUMIHO, bleeding on double fronts, while Serral is indeed just expanding. Very clean play from the Red Zerg so far, after losing a little bit too many drones in the early stages. He's counter-reacting with his Spire play and getting a lot of kills himself. Mutas not ready yet to bring the fight head on. Oh, the Baneling run by. Getting 2 Cyclones and 5 SCVs. Beautiful, beautiful counter-attack on the side of Serral after scouting the cruisers. GUMIHO will use his free supply to get a couple Tors and try to lay down mines for defense. Serral clearly in the lead. He needs upgrades himself. These cruisers will drop down a couple Yamato cannons on top of the Mutas before tactical jumping away, but it was way too late. One of the cruisers go down. And it's not a good sight for GUMIHO with a hive incoming for Serral. Upgrades. Both Mutas and ground are gonna be severely upgraded. And now the Mutas reaching critical mass themselves. How many Mutas is this? It's 22, soon to be 25. Serral trying to magical box around these Tors. 17 roaches immediately being produced after seeing the Tors, as well as missile attack. Start getting a little bit of all of the upgrades. But of course, +2 air attack is going to be the most important of them all. With no tanks on the ground, the ability to snipe key units, of course, is not as important. But his whole army is almost exclusively consisting in Mutas, and he needs those Mutas to be able to bring the fight head-on to Tors. Even though that sounds a disaster. Especially against GUMIHO. 3 more Tors in the making. Serral trying to switch into roaches as fast as he can. He will need the Vipers. The blinding clouds are going to be insanely important. Oh, but getting the cruisers, or even like a couple add-ons, will be absolutely huge. Tors are in position. Serral actually losing a little bit too many Mutas. Getting 8 kills on the SCVs. Oh, the roaches ready to get on top of the Tors. These Tors are dropping in health very quickly. And even just killing 2 Tors, it's a huge trade for Serral. Beautiful, beautiful play. SCVs will not be used for repair. While the rest of the Mutas ready to come in. That's 3 Tors, a little bit too much. +2 doing its work. And Serral will take a decent trade. Even losing so many roaches, is still so much ahead compared to his opponent. 50 supply ahead. His upgrades are not too shabby at all. And with Adrenal Glands, he can finally bring the fight to the Tors with just Lings and Banes. Mutas trying to sneak around a couple kills into this mineral line. They will get a couple. These missile turrets will immediately fall. As well as 4 SCVs. Roaches breaking down the wall over here. Making sure these changeling keep them out of sight. This is Rhino Mine over here. Star will not walk on top of it. But now roaches have been spotted. And they will go right on top of the Tors. 1 Tor immediately falls. The second one is in a little bit of a bad spot. No burrow movement for these roaches. But the Mutas will try to come in and clear these up. Lots of Hellbats dying as well. Serral again taking what looks like a weird trade, but in this spot it's indeed a beautiful play. These Mutas might have traded a little bit too far. Yeah, I don't like this play. The Tor will indeed be able to deflect them even after dying. There's just too few Mutas to kill the cruisers, and GUMIHO all of a sudden getting 25 supply down out of Serral without really bleeding too much. Let's take a look at the upgrades. It's just 1-1. GUMIHO doesn't have +2/+2, which is going to be absolutely massive once he gets to that. But he's slowly catching up in supply. Roach Ravager, not the most supply efficient army as we all know, trying to trade up into Tors and cruisers, but here comes the upgrades. And GUMIHO is ready to turn this game around. Serral is not taking advantage of the tech he has. Corruptors, not really the best of choices. He can bring down these cruisers at last. But as you can see, they jump away too fast. The Ravager's ready to fight with the Tors, with the Medivac trying to get them out of harm's way. Now the Corruptors getting on top of the cruisers, on top of the Medivacs as well. But these Tors are just not dying. Time for the Infestors to get a yoink. Serral gets game number 1. It's game 2 time on Glittering Ashes. Here for Storm Gaming. A blue Terran currently spawning in the top right hand corner. Make some noise for GUMIHO. Trying to get 2 in a row. His opponent indeed at match point. A red Zerg from Team Ents. The Prodigy. It is Serral. Only needs 1 more victory. And 2 chances to clutch it. course, very curious. Yeah, I was about to say this. Very curious to see if Serral will go again for the early pull, and indeed goes for that kind of play. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You will need scouting. Maybe try to get an early overload speed, even though on this map it's just not as useful, because you can see like here the dead air space is just minimal. So you're better off just scouting with Lings, which I think is probably going to be the play out of Serral. Trying to get as much information as possible with his Lings, with his early Lings as well. Let me try to delay the command center a little bit if GUMIHO grids it out on the low ground. Which is about to happen actually. Like, it's not greedy, but you need to go for a Reaper with this, I think. And he doesn't go for a Reaper. I don't necessarily hate this, but you've seen Serral go for an early pull in the previous game. You should know that it's probably his favorite way to play against you. You probably should go for a Reaper. It doesn't really look like GUMIHO's play. And Serral with 6 Lings, he's gonna try to get advantage of it. Which is very clever on his side. Once he manages to find out there's not too much to be scared about. Seeing this Marine over here, it's already huge if he sees that. Oh, will he see that? Yes, yes he will. And probably right now he knows he can commit. Seeing also the second Marine, he's 100% sure there's no Reaper with that. So I think he's just gonna commit into this. Indeed he is. Yeah, of course, the SF is being pulled in from the base. The delay on the command center. Very good start for Serral. Of course, his Lings are gonna go down. He's gonna bleed a little bit himself. And having an early pull, it will not be like in a commanding position at all. But delaying the command center, getting this much mining time out of GUMIHO, I would call this a victory for the Red Zerg before heading into the next stage of the game. So, what do we have here? Tech Lab. Another reactor. GUMIHO is gonna send his Rex to scout for the overload and get a kill before bringing it down again. Probably going to be some kind of Banshee play from the blue Terran, trying to get a little bit of damage, getting some scouting information as well. All that he needs to get a head start after bleeding a little bit in the early game. It's going to be a tank. This actually surprises me a little bit. So reactor over here, you can reactor Medivacs. Yeah, I don't think this is a play. Yeah, alright, alright. This makes much more sense. Just trying to fake it in case an overload was about to scout him. Going to get a Banshee instead with Cloak. Maybe even a third command center, because he's not really in a position to be afraid of anything. He has Marines on the low ground. He's going to be reactoring out Marines and getting a couple Medivacs out as soon as he can. There's not really too much that can really scare him. So yeah, getting a early steam. Well, not early, it's just very standard timing. But of course the Banshee is going to be the most important thing. Cloak is done. Serral sending a lot of Lings out, probably to get some scouting information in some crucial spots, which are going to be just these two. Oh, actually Serral sees the Banshee. Crucial scouting with the Ling. GUMIHO will have to wait for Cloak, which is actually almost finished. And Serral getting Lair Tech, but his Portcallers are insanely late. Only dropping down one here and one over here. But the Banshee will be there before those are done. Banshee can really take lives here. At least 3 to 4 drones. Of course, the Queen gets in position after seeing the Crypt Tumor spotting the Banshee. But here the Banshee has a lot of free time to shoot. Oh, misses one. Going to be just 2 kills, barely survives. Yeah, that is not a good spot. GUMIHO, no! GUMIHO, get away! No! The Banshee goes down. After killing only 2 drones, he will need the second one to do much better than this. But the defenses are already down, and another overload is gonna scout this. Probably GUMIHO will be content with getting a couple Lings booming them immediately after seeing the Banshee, getting only one killed. Again, GUMIHO needs to cloak. And yeah, he's probably gonna snap this down. But there's really not much of a way to get into the base of Serral. There's an Overseer, which will not follow the Banshee around. Which will be uncloaked. The Queens are just gonna protect the drone, trying to get this base over here. The Spire is in the making for Serral. And alongside a lot of Extractors. A little bit of a greedy play out of Serral, I think. But he's the king of greed, right? Oh, that's actually a lot of Marines. Serral gonna get some scouting. Actually seeing 2 more wrecks finishing, seeing the production in the main of Marines. Serral has a lot of information, getting 24 more lanes and mainly speed immediately. Very good call out of aim, but this Spire, I highly doubt is ever going to be too useful. Yeah, sniping down Medivacs can be good. Can indeed be very good. But you first have to get a lot of Banelings, which Serral kind of doesn't have the gas for. Getting more mutas, not too sure if that's the call. He wants to do something with those mutas, he's not even getting +1 air attack, which is going to be crucial in fighting Marines. I'm starting to doubt the Master. 2 Evo Chambers being dropped down again, Serral looking a little bit too greedy. He cannot really afford those upgrades, he needs a lot of Banelings. GUMIHO with his Medivacs here on the right, trying to catch Serral attention before heading to the left. A little bit of kiting over here before the mutas chime in. And this Medivac barely survives. Actually, very good trade for GUMIHO. Before being forced to lose it all, trying to get a little bit more. Gonna get indeed a couple Banelings. But here on the left, he's ready to strike again. Dropping down these Medivacs at the 4th base of Serral, which is currently completely undefended. Sending a couple lanes, yeah, but the Widow Mines. Trying to get a shot. That shot was decent. I think the Marine was saved. But as you can see, these 2 mutas are just not good enough to chase down the Medivacs, and Serral again doesn't have a lot of Banelings. How many Banelings does he have? Just a 6. The rest of the army of GUMIHO is coming. And overless speed now? +1 air attack? Yikes. Serral desperately needs Banelings. GUMIHO's production is not slowing down. He has a lot of Medivacs, and actually a lot of Medivacs. He needs these mutas to actually knock down as many Medivacs as possible before the Marines get too many kills. And I don't see enough Banelings, like even remotely enough Banelings. GUMIHO is starting to push, and Serral just has the 6. He's producing 7 more, but these are going to be cancelled. Serral is in an awful spot. He needs to move away before the Widow Mines get beautiful shots. No Banelings in the making. Serral needs to buy some time. This base probably needs to be sacked. The Widow Mines actually don't get good shots, but the Banelings get a decent connection. The rest of the army of GUMIHO is trying to get over here. Serral sending his army in waves. Oh, these Banelings, good connections, killing all of the Widow Mines. But there's not any more Banelings. These Medivacs getting an insane amount of value, keeping so many Marines alive. Here comes the rest of the army of GUMIHO, and Serral just doesn't have enough. The Queens get into the fight, but they're not gonna out DPS these Marines. GUMIHO takes game number 2. One last game to decide it all on Curious Minds. Here, in the top left hand corner from Sidestone Gaming. Can he get it? A 2nd win in a row. It's in his sights. Make some noise for GUMIHO. His opponent doesn't want to allow that. The red Zerg in the bottom right hand corner. The man, the legend. It's Serral. And will he go again for that early pull? I just want to check, but I don't think he will. He's already sending his drone over here in the natural. And for this game, he's gonna default to the hatch gas pool opener. Maybe a clash opener as well, since basically everyone is doing it nowadays. Widely considered to be the most effective opener. It has been like this for quite a long time, but pro players just don't adapt as quickly as ladders sometimes. But it's finally risen in popularity, even in pro play, to delay the overload. Which Serral will not do, but yeah. Whoa, 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 GUMIHO. GUMIHO! Alright. After game 2, I wasn't sure about it, but now I know. Bjorn has replaced GUMIHO in this series, guys. Because this is definitely very different compared to what we're used to see out of this player. And I kind of love it. I can't wait. Oh, it was a clash opener. Well, never mind. I kind of want to see where he's going to go with this. Of course, it's probably going to be an early third command center, because that's what makes the most sense to me. But it could be something different entirely. An early push, something a little bit more defensive. 3 Rex openers can lead to many different follow-ups. Some of them are very aggressive, some of them are very defensive instead. So we will see. Yeah, these 3 Marines do not want Serral to see what's behind that ramp. That's a job for the overlords only, and they're just not gonna be there in time, it seems. Here's Mind Spiller is over here, but Serral is not going to go there. Going to go straight into the main, it seems. Just want to... Oh, on a little bit on the right side. He's not going to see that so easily. Factor incoming with a starport soon to follow up from Medivac play. It's not going to be a fair command center early on, which actually kind of surprises me. It's going to be something way more aggressive. Serral gridded it out in game number 2. That's not a mistake he's used to do twice in a row. But who knows? If there's one man who can topple the giant, that one is GUMIHO. Serral finally going to get the information he needs, seeing the double Rex, seeing the double reactors, and now going a little bit further away. Steam is in the research. He's going to be very glad to lose this overload after this much information was gathered. Very important information indeed. Curious to see what is going to be his reaction. Alien Nest, of course, is down before the lair, which is something that we're not super used to see. Serral was smelling something in the air and decided to go for an earlier Binley Nest compared to usual. The starport is done, can start pumping out double medivacs very soon, combat shields in the making as well. While Serral trying to advance into lair tech, he needs that speed for his Banelings. And this time, I doubt he will do the same mistake again and try to aim for as many Banelings as possible, even delaying his double Evo chambers, which is something you actually want to drop right about now. Like, to be able to line it up with lair tech just being finished and with double extractors. But it's looking more and more like just an average defensive play, trying to maybe rush it into the hive tech, seeing that kind of aggressive play coming out of GUMIHO. Tanks in the making at last for the Terran player. Gonna be a while before these tanks are in critical mass, so Serral knows he can delay his own Evo chambers And try to get as many banelings as possible now, even though they will get kind of melted down by tanks. Oh, yeah, this is an awful spot. This is an awful spot. GUMIHO nowhere close enough. He's going to lose so much of his own army. The medivacs didn't come in fast enough. And now baneling speed is in the making. GUMIHO dropping down here on the left side. Maybe looking to get a couple crit tumors before heading back to his base and get more and more army. He's only pumping out army. He's not really caring for much. Finally, the third command center being dropped down. One of the queen is getting very low. These transfuses were quite clutch. But indeed, the queen will fall. In position to try and snipe down the medivacs before they come into his main base, but that will happen nonetheless. There's a tank with these as well. He's gonna siege down, trying to stop things from coming into the main base of Serral. But it's way too far from that ramp. Curious Mind's main base is kind of huge. And now GUMIHO will try instead to work on the low ground. Serral expanding in the top right hand corner. More medivacs, more units are coming with so many links. Trying to snipe down reinforcements. Or at least get a wrap around. This one medivac is getting very low. The queens are going to be able to stop the medivacs from dropping too much in the main base. Another two medivacs are getting in position. The tank is in position as well. Being granted the vision from these medivacs right now in the main. Another tank lays his eggs. But here's so much army is going to be committed by Serral into this. The queens are bruised, but they still have so much energy on them, while Serral has a lot of lanes and banelings ready to strike GUMIHO, where it's gonna hurt the most. GUMIHO finally on a third orbital command, but still not mining from his third base, while Serral will start mining from his fourth one very soon. And now there's nowhere to run, GUMIHO. You need to collect everything and run to your base. Serral looking for a counterattack maybe. GUMIHO cannot really go for a doom drop into the main. So much is waiting for him. And Serral just trying to chase this army around. Another two medivacs here on the top side. GUMIHO didn't deal enough damage so far. As you can see, Serral able to get his +2/+2 upgrade in the making. Now it's Liberator transition for GUMIHO, trying to snipe down as many buildings as possible. Serral is very close to critical mass though. It's not really looking like GUMIHO can actually get a good spot to drop in. The main is very exposed right now. GUMIHO might go for the doom drop he was looking for before. He will play it slow. Maybe siege down the tanks over here before committing into anything. Wait for the right moment to strike. The tanks trying to get on top of... Oh, wow. This base was killed. Completely missed that. Meanwhile, GUMIHO steaming on the low ground, trying to get quick tumors at least with another base in the making for Serral. GUMIHO finally getting some amount of damage. Oh, the tank, just the one. Doubt this is going to be enough. This is not going to be the best trade possible for Serral, but he's gonna shoo GUMIHO away from here and get the last tank standing. His army on the top side will clear out the last few quick tumors, while Serral will try to get the base again with many links there for defense. It's a powerful army that GUMIHO is pumping out right now. More Liberators being... Oh no! Yikes! Serral catching a lot of army in the middle of nowhere, and GUMIHO might have a lot of army supply, but that's a lot of medivacs. Trying to slow push forward, trying to get quick teamers as well. Again, with the tanks and the Liberators protecting each other. Meanwhile, on top side, GUMIHO again is ready to strike over here. It's going to be cancelled before the links get into position. More and more Marines are just flooding Serral's side of the map. Who's the Zerg now? Says GUMIHO. While lots and lots of banelings trying to get around everything. Serral will commit right here, right now. Dramatic zoom forward on these tanks being absolutely melted by Serral. And now the Queens can get a very easy kill on as many Liberators as possible. Meanwhile, GUMIHO trying to get as much damage as possible onto the Banelings and Lings before they can get into the space over here, but they will get over there indeed. Nonetheless, 15 SCVs are going to fall. The army of Serral still looking decent enough. With +3/+3 Adrenal Glands and a Viper. 2 Vipers, actually, incoming for the Red Zerg. GUMIHO with the accidental cyclone. Trying to get as much as possible. These Liberators are a little bit too slow on the siege up. But they're still going to be much more than enough to protect the Marines, and the Marines themselves can protect themselves very easily. The Queens not in the best spot, but the Banelings are chasing down everything. The splits are very good for GUMIHO, but Serral fights back. The Queens dealing critical damage to the Liberators. And again, it's a lot of Medivacs. That's not like a lot of Marines. It's a lot of Marines, not too many. The +3/+3 incoming. It's about to be some trouble for GUMIHO. Very hard to push onto that ramp for Serral. These Queens are running out of energy, running out of health as well. But the Banelings will indeed be able to clean house. Now the Vipers can get those abducts. Just, oh my god, one of the Vipers immediately fall before doing anything. Serral shocking a little bit. Going to lose his 4th again. And another one going up on the top right. 18 drones ready to go there and start collecting before this base was annihilated by GUMIHO. Ready to sack it and go mine elsewhere. There's an ultra cavern in the making. Very good to push into those kind of choke points when there's not too many Banelings on the ground. Frankfurt defense over here is gonna stop Serral from getting a run by. Lots of army from GUMIHO actually retreating over here. This tank was left all alone. And it's an easy snipe for the Zerg player. Oh, this +3/+3 takes so damn long to make, and Serral needs ASAP to have those upgrade advantages. Red Zerg, very starved on gas. Will not be able to make too many ultras, will not be able to have them fully upgraded yet. Still collecting more gas than his opponent over here on the top side. 2 Liberators, there's not really much for defending against the Serral, sending all of his Queens. And meanwhile on the bottom side, GUMIHO, that's not the Alpha Squadron I was waiting for. I can still kill Cryptumas. 2 drones are going to fall before the Queens make their way onto this base, and it's a yoink from the Viper. There's a Spore Cooler over here for defense. Meanwhile in the main, again, this is not the Alpha Squadron, guys. It's going to be easily cleared by Serral. GUMIHO getting another army over here, but Serral is on top of everything right now. It's going to get a couple Marines before they are retreating into the Medivacs. What is... GUMIHO just sacrificing Marines over here. While Serral taking full control of his own side of the map for the first time in 15 minutes. Not too shabby from the Red Zerg. Wasn't the cleanest of defense. It was a very messy game so far. But he has stabilized. He has an upgrade advantage. He has a tech advantage. And now he finally is on 5 bases. Which will prove to be very scary for GUMIHO to deal with. He has a lot of Medivacs. So his Marines are just not dying easy as well as his Marauders. Oh, but Serral is getting those key units, key upgrades. It's about to be scary. It's not a lot of ultras, it's just a 4-0, but the binding cards may be huge. It's instead a Parasitic Bomb's mother of Banelin's connection. Alright, the army of GUMIHO gets absolutely deleted. As well as a couple Medivacs falling down to Parasitic Bomb. Not a lot of energy on this Viper. But all of the 4 ultras are still alive, and there's a Spire transition at the ready for Serral once he loses enough of his own army. to get into maybe Broodlords, maybe just Mutas. Well, Mutas are just a little too late. Maybe Corruptors to deal with Liberators and Medivacs alike instead of Broodlords. The Great Aspire might be too much of an investment, with Ultras being already on the ground and so many Banelings getting so much value so far. GUMIHO wasn't really able to get the economy he wanted, rushing down as much army as possible in the earlier stages, and now Serral ready to take advantage of that. 74 workers to 42 after getting so many defeats in the trades is now ready to get it on. And that one parasitic bomb, yeah, that's a lot of damage. Another parasitic bomb ready to be dropped. These Viper a little bit exposed, but the Banelings get there in time. Liberators are barely surviving. The parasitic bombs, Vipers a little bit out of energy, but now it Corruptors are on the way, as well as +1 missile attack and +1 air weapons. Air attack, sorry. GUMIHO going for one final push. Here on the left side, Serral is easily going to get this command center, but GUMIHO is pushing in the center. Liberators spread everywhere to try and get as many angles as possible, but the rest of the army of GUMIHO was not fighting underneath him. And now the Banelings going rampage on top of the army of GUMIHO. Ultras in a choke point. We all know how it ends up. They just get so much value, and Serral is going to win the series.